This movement seeks to empower people to stand up for our sacred values, our citizen rights, and constitutional freedoms that were inked on that piece of paper by our forefathers.
Shining a light on the darkness of today's challenges. This is the Lantern Podcast.
Welcome to this edition of the Lantern Podcast. And as we've always tried to do, is we want to bring you the stories of individuals and businesses that have been affected during this pandemic and during these decisions that the governor has made. And we have a special guest with us today. It is Joe Riccardi, and he owns and operates the 140 Ice Den in Howell, Michigan. Great to have you with us, Joe.
Likewise. Thanks for having me today.
So why don't you tell us a little bit about your operation as a whole first, and kind of where you were leading into all of this, how your business was doing, and then what happened on March 15th or so.
So we purchased the rink a year ago in Howell. We have a single sheet rink in Livingston County. We really had high hopes coming out of a decent winter. Our high school program, Howell High School varsity hockey program, made it to the state Final Four. Then the word came down from the governor that day prior to the game at USA Hockey Rink in Plymouth that there was going to be canceled due to COVID-19. So we took orders from the governor on March 13th, I believe it was, to cease operations. So we ceased operations then. After a month, the industry leaders and the hockey rink owners started to discuss plans for the future. We were waiting for, let's say, the 15-day flat curve, to stay at home, to have some sort of clarification. And to be quite honest, since then, we're going into 5 months now without income for hockey rinks, programs, figure skating programs, high school programs, college programs, adult league programs at ice rinks, which would be everything from northern Michigan and lower.
So my question to you is, again, this is just as an outsider, and I was born and raised over in Port Huron, so I played some hockey when I could walk almost. I had skates on. However, for those that aren't involved in that, one of the things I visualize, and if you follow hockey, figure skating, anything, is one of the most natural things for social distancing would be skating. So talk to me a little bit about your facilities and about whatever. This doesn't seem to be a difficult one to be able to manage and stay safe.
No, it's really not. I mean, an ice rink is 17,000 square feet, the surface. It's cleaned every 50 minutes after a different user group. You are fully dressed. You don't have a common article that you touch like everybody else, like football or baseball or tennis. 10 people, maximum 12 people per 17,000 square foot. It's pretty easily to socially distance in those in that arena, so to speak. When you get to figure skaters, it's even easier to social distance. Sometimes you only have 5 people, 6 people within 17,000 square feet. As far as that aspect, pretty simple. When it comes to the other areas of the facility, locker rooms, lobbies, the square footage goes up drastically. So in our situation, in most one-sheet rink situations, you're approaching 38,000 square feet per ice sheet, which is easily to socially distance.
So you're so let's talk about, I mean, one thing you always talk about where viruses even live, and we can certainly get beyond that quickly, is we always talk about the common sense used or not used. How many ice rinks are there in the state of Michigan? There's a good one.
There's 93 ice rinks in the state of Michigan. The exact number of sheets varies seasonally. They employ 3,500 people for the facility themselves. Many of the rinks are actually 30 to 35% are municipally owned by cities, municipalities, and so forth. There's actually 50,000 registered players in youth sports for hockey in Michigan. There's 140 high school teams, over 3 divisions, with over 3,000 kids in those programs. 85 learner skate programs with almost 10,000 participants. There's 45 figure skating clubs with 2,700 members. Dozens upon dozens of college programs with tens of thousands of students, athletes, faculty, this shutdown affects. Now, you can discuss the annual sales of hockey rinks. It's listed at almost $88 million. But the true economic impact study is almost $1 billion industry per year in Michigan for these facilities. It includes referees, coaches, trainers, private contractors, training groups, summer camp, stuff like that inside, the 93 facilities in Michigan. It's a dire situation right now with the rinks, and I kind of broke down some things into 3 parts. You got our ice rink facts here. The most important part is the HVAC system, which makes ice rinks unique versus, let's say, a gym or an indoor basketball facility. It's really the HVAC and the ventilation in the ice making process which makes us very safe from a virus airborne situation.
Has this been highlighted? I noticed you provided me with a bunch of information. It appears as if you or your association, both statewide but especially nationwide, has done an incredible job of planning to do things and opening things safely.
Yeah, so USA Hockey, Michigan Amateur Hockey Association, and the National Federation of High School Sports all put out guidance, return to rink, return to play, social distancing guidelines. They've all worked and listened in other states. Ohio, Indiana, Minnesota, Wisconsin. All the other states, there's 48 states right now that are allowing ice rinks to be open. I think that if we look at this from a science standpoint and data-driven standpoint, our facilities, if you calculate the CFM in your building with the relative humidity in the air change hourly rate, we are on par, if not better, than most hospital isolation rooms. And that is science-driven, data-driven, because we have to maintain moisture, relative humidity, temperature, in airflow in the buildings to maintain the ice.
So in these other states, let's how long ago did those begin to reopen, and what is the data been since they've been reopened, and have you shared that at all in our state with anybody who has listened?
Well, the states have been open for actually months. Florida's been open for they're one of the first ones to open. Florida, Colorado, all the other states, Indiana, New Hampshire. All the surrounding states, like I said, I believe it's up to 48 states now allow ice rinks to open. Even New York is allowing ice rinks to open. These states all follow the guidance of Dr. Michael Stewart from the Mayo Clinic and USA Hockey. And he states, he was asked, is it safe to play hockey now? He said, yes, it's safe to return to many activities provided we follow advice from our healthcare professionals. Returning to hockey is no different than returning to any other aspects of our lives. He's written a lot of good articles that are available to USA Hockey on their Facebook, on their website for their Return the Rink guidelines that prove social distancing is achievable in an ice rink facility. Other states have done it fairly well. There's been no issues, and it is something that needs to be restored to our communities.
And what have you, when you've presented this information to anyone within the governor or administration, because as all of you know out there, the legislature has no say in these executive orders or to determine what is essential, what isn't, what could open and what can't. And that's what we're highlighting here is shining the light on some of the areas out there that have been whole industries have been destroyed, in areas where, again, where you can physically do things, exercise, all the things that happen that help you both mentally and physically, correct? And this has been denied for months with what seems to be no common sense decisions. The science and data, as we said, just doesn't simply fit the narrative of why it isn't safe to go to an ice rink.
No, correct. I agree. And the biggest thing is, although we've been shut down since March, there has been no plan by leadership in the state to reopen. There's been no directive. Listen, if we can reopen November 1st, October 1st, September 1st, if we'll look at it through these press conferences the governor holds.
But your plan is already here. Honestly, what other states have done and what I see your association groups have done is, and the knowledge of your science and data in regard to ventilation systems answers the question, makes this an easy one.
Correct, I agree. And why we're lumped in with bowling alleys, gyms, and other things, I mean, from an industry standpoint, we don't know what the future holds. Why we're lumped into certain groups through Phase 5, through a reopening plan for the state. There's been no communication from the governor's office or what it would be to tell us what we need to do to open or when we can open. The problem that we have as an industry is unique because we make our own atmosphere. We make our own ice inside a building. It becomes problematic. For example, right now, we have dozens of rinks on the brink. Midland Civic Center just put out a statement this week. They're on the brink of closure. They don't know how they're going to navigate through this fall. Our rink, brink of closure. Other rinks in the community, brink of closure. We still have costs to maintain energy. It's unique in the fashion of we have ammonia-based chillers. You can't decommission them. They have to run. We turned our power down for less consumption. We were hit with a penalty from Detroit Edison. Because we use less power, the rate goes up. So we made a complaint to Michigan Public Safety Commission. They went to DTE, and there's not much they can do other than a 30-day grace period, which that ended 4 months ago, to make payments for that one particular month over the next 12 months. So the question begs is, what do we do with these ammonia-based chillers? If these rinks fail, how many rinks fail? There will be rinks that do fail. What do we do with these facilities then that are A, hazardous, B, where are these high school programs
going to
go? Colleges, men's leagues, youth sports. It's not like a indoor basketball or a baseball field outside. We just don't have that option to shut the systems down.
Why don't you spend just a couple of minutes looking in directly into the camera and explain to the governor what it is that you need to have her do and why, so that she or someone can share this information with them to see if we can get these opened up, because this is a seasonal issue also. This needs to happen now.
Correct.
So look into the camera and tell the governor what it is you'd like to tell her.
I would say at this point, the hockey industry needs clarification from an ice rink standpoint. Our typical building size for one sheet of ice is 38,000 square feet. That is about 1,300 occupants by fire marshal requirements. If we could even reduce that to 15% to allow 195 occupants in a 38,000 square foot building, even below that, maximum 50 people, we could still maintain our business, industry, the employees, everything that we need to keep these rinks in business. Because if we don't, the whole industry as a whole, as an ice rink facility, is on the brink of disaster. There is no other way around it. We cannot turn down the ammonia systems. We still have an energy bill to pay. In the future, if we don't have ice rink facilities, there will be no school hockey, figure skating, or any other activities inside these ice rink facilities. The data has shown through the HVAC systems, the dehumidifiers with the desiccant wheel treatment centers in every ice rink, that these can be safe. USA Hockey 17-page return to rink is acceptable in every other state, along with the Michigan Amateur Hockey Association and other industry leaders, that an ice rink can be safe.
Well, I think this is timely that we had this meeting today and did this podcast, because, again, I think it is crucial in this next 2 to 4 weeks that you get clarity on this. There's absolutely no reason in my mind, and if as we look out there, if you know of people in your community that are out there and have an ice rink, I want to make sure that when they're allowed to open, that you do everything you can to support them. It is a crucial part. It is a sport that is historical to Michigan. We're a major part of this, and most of the other Midwest states, and as they mentioned, Wisconsin, Minnesota, New Hampshire, the areas that have major hockey programs have been open for quite some time. They've done it effectively. And, you know, the one thing is that we've always said is we can do more than one thing. We can be safe, and we can run our businesses.
Correct. Agreed. And even the northern regions 7 and 8, which is Gaylord to Mackinac and then the whole UP, have done this safe and have made it safe for all the people in these facilities.
And all you have to do is look around again. If there are things, if you can go through your Walmart, your Menards, you can go into your all your other stores and factories. Picture an ice rink. I think that they can be pretty safe there. What happens in locker rooms and whatever, there are procedures in place to manage all of those things. Correct? So the question is why can't we at least go back and let the kids go back to their activity, let the adults that are in these programs, there are lots of adults who participate in these programs, and it's vital as we go into fall to return to some sense of normal.
Correct.
So I want to thank you for being with us, Joe, and shining the light. As always, the Lantern Podcast is an effort to shine the light in the darkness of today's challenges. And until next time, stand up, Michigan.